With one of the biggest surprises of the year so far, Team Ninja shadow dropped Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. So the ultimate question is it good? Let's discuss. Now, for context, this is my first Ninja Gaiden game, period. I've never touched one before this, so this will be from the perspective of a newcomer to the series. So if you are a hardcore Ninja Gaiden fan, looking to see if this matches up to the rest of the series, then this probably isn't the review for you. With that out of the way, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black takes place in a futuristic Japan, and it is one of the most over-the-top worlds I've ever seen. There are demons, monsters, robots, and worst of all, tiny fish. I'll get to those later. One thing I think Ninja Gaiden 2 Black does really well is with the design of all these different enemies. Each one is unique, yet interesting, and added something to the world without being a messy distraction. I also felt the same sentiment towards the characters in the game as well. While there aren't a lot of characters, the ones we are given each have unique designs that complement their various traits and abilities. The artists and character designers should be given more praise in my opinion because every character and every enemy was clearly given such care when being designed, and it's something that when done badly can really hurt an otherwise great game. I do think towards the end of the game, Team Ninja may have jumped the shark a little bit with some of the bosses that may be a bit over the top, but it's a Ninja Gaiden game after all, so I'll let it slide. This sentiment carries on to the level design as well. For the most part, I felt each level was really unique and had its own flavor that made the game worth working through. Whether it was jumping from gear to gear in a clock tower, or making my way through a crowded military base in the sky, it was cool to see what Team Ninja had created. Unfortunately, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black did have more than its fair share of vanilla underground hallways or generic empty buildings that felt copy and pasted from one part of the game to another. It didn't ruin the experience by any means, but it was noticeable at some points. But something else that was noticeable was how gorgeous this game is. The thing that I kept thinking about while I was working my way through the game was the fact that this game was shadow launched. The game is frankly jaw-dropping, from the fluid animations to the beautifully rendered characters in brutal combat. In another life, I picture a trailer for this game with these visuals releasing at the end of a Microsoft press conference, with people gawking at how good the game looks, knowing they have a gem to look forward to. That's how good I thought the game looked. It's a celebration not only in this game, but gaming as a whole, that we have the privilege of graphics like this. It makes me really excited for Ninja Gaiden 4 because I know Team Ninja will continue improving the look of this world, and I think we'll be in for a graphical treat. Now, before we get to the gameplay, which is obviously the bread and butter of a Ninja Gaiden game, it's why you play these games after all, I wanted to mention my thoughts on the story. Now, like I said, I haven't played the first one, so keep that in mind. The story was one of the most over-the-top ballistic stories of late, but it's also nothing special in my opinion. It's really just Ryu traveling the world, killing every monster and demon that rises from the ground. The moment you kill one, another is spawned on the other side of the country and you go kill that one. There really isn't much more than that. As I said, I may be missing some nuance from having not played the first game, but I don't feel like there was much substance here. But on the flip side, I don't fault it for this. From my perspective, I see video games as having a purpose when they are developed. Some games are focused on gameplay, and that is what they intend to do, and they do it well. For example, Pokemon has almost no story, and that's fine. It doesn't have to. Now, on the flip side of the coin, Telltale's The Walking Dead, on paper, has terrible gameplay. I mean, it's a point-and-click game. You can't tell me that's fun gameplay, but they aren't trying to be what they aren't. I wouldn't mark Pokemon down for having a bad story, and I wouldn't mark Telltale's The Walking Dead down for having bad gameplay. It's not what they're trying to do. That's what I feel Ninja Gaiden is doing. It has a story on the surface because that's what games are expected to have, but it doesn't shove it in your face and instead puts the fantastic gameplay on the front page. Speaking of gameplay, let's talk about what put the Ninja Gaiden series on the map. The fantastic gameplay. So for those that are unfamiliar, Ninja Gaiden is a fast-paced, timing-based, third-person cut-slash style game. You could say it took inspiration from classic arcade games like Double Dragon or Ninja Spirit. The gameplay of Ninja Gaiden is a beautiful song and dance. Every sword slash is precise and elegant. The satisfaction of pulling off a perfect combo and completely eviscerating my enemies before they even had a chance to strike was satisfying from the beginning to the end. And Ryu is a complete badass while doing this. He is a fantastic protagonist that while he doesn't say much, he doesn't need to. So how does the gameplay work? You typically will be fighting a small group of enemies, whether they're ninjas, demon dogs, demon robots, demon fish, demons. Now let me say, whoever introduced those demon fish to this game likes seeing people suffer. Those are up there as some of the most annoying enemies in any game for me. They provided nothing. When they latch onto you, it does one of those little cutscenes where you shake them off, and there are always like 20 fish at a time. It just takes forever. Please, Team Ninja, I hope to never see those fish again. Anyway, so you are surrounded by a group of enemies and you have a light attack, heavy attack, charge attack, special move that uses ki. You have a ranged attack, you can counter, there's various combos, and it all works really well. And on the surface, it may seem somewhat basic, but meshed together, it is a beautiful orchestra of swordplay. I absolutely loved the combat. And I instantly could recognize why Ninja Gaiden is known as one of the best of all time. There are also different weapons that are unlocked as the game progresses and that can be utilized. Now, they all felt fairly similar to me. I didn't feel a huge difference between all the weapons. I ended up just sticking to the regular sword for the majority of my playthrough because it felt good and I never felt a desire to change. The enemy variety, as I hinted at earlier, was also really strong. I was worried at the beginning that the entire game would be just generic ninjas, but Team Ninja gave us enough variety that I never felt like I was facing the same enemy over and over. Now, this feeling did begin to wear thin toward the end of the game. I won't spoil it, but there is one point at the end of the game that hardcore Ninja Gaiden fans will remember where you're just bombarded for like 20 minutes with the same enemy over and over. I could have gone without this. But did it ruin my experience? No. Another aspect of Ninja Gaiden 2 Black that is huge are the bosses. Every level will have at least one massive boss, and these bosses are overall great. As mentioned above, I love the design and attack types. Every time I was greeted with a boss, I knew I was in for a treat. Although one thing I was not a fan of was how many bosses they would throw at you 2, 3, or even 4 times. These fights just lose their charm and start to become chores when we've already done this dance. I can see why Batman is so sick of the Joker. We have done this, let's move on. Especially at the end of the game, Ninja Gaiden starts pounding you with reruns and duplicates, and it just didn't feel right to me. A lot of these repeats didn't even have new mechanics or abilities, it was literally the same boss. Like, can we get some variety here? But the majority of these bosses are thrills to face one-on-one, and I believe Team Ninja don't get enough credit for what a fantastic job they've done with them. I do have 2 issues with the gameplay, and in my opinion, these are just because Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is based on an older game. But the camera and platforming are straight up wonky. This may be sacrilegious to say, so forgive me, but this game could really benefit from a lock-on button. The amount of times I would be engaged in a heated battle just for the camera to completely betray me was too many times to count. Thank goodness the Art of the Inferno locked onto targets automatically. Ultimately, like I said, I think this is a relic of its age. Games at this time just didn't have this mechanic as much. The other issue I had, and the one that drove me absolutely nuts, was the platforming aspects. Ryu feels super stiff and each jump feels, well, wonky would be the best way I could think to describe it. It almost feels like Ryu has a magnet in him and I have to fight the game to do what I want. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black definitely can feel its age in that aspect, and honestly, if you had to pin me down and get me to say my least favorite part of the game, platforming would be it. But the vast majority of the game is luckily not platforming and instead a fantastic combat system that does what it intends to do. Make you a badass ninja that creates gloriously gory kills, beautiful combos, and over-the-top moments. Real quickly, let me talk about performance. I personally didn't have any performance issues. I played on Xbox Series X and am recording on PC. I didn't have any technical issues to speak of. The game ran with no issues at 120 FPS and 4K. I didn't experience much, if any, slowdown or crashes. For me, it was refreshing to see a game run so well. So, what are my final thoughts on Ninja Gaiden 2 Black? I think this is a great game. It has some of the best combat in gaming and is matched with a gorgeous world. While the story is nothing special, it also doesn't have to be. I do wish the camera controls and platforming had been modernized. It doesn't stop Ninja Gaiden 2 Black from being a fantastic Ninja Gaiden game. I can't wait to see what Team Ninja has in store for us in Ninja Gaiden 4. Overall, I would give Ninja Gaiden 2 Black an 8 out of 10. So, thank you so much for watching. Obviously, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.